Hey, welcome to the second course video for the song The Apparition by Sleep Token from their album Take Me Back to Eden. I'm musically malnourished and you're on my journey to go deep and wide in discovering new music and artists. In these videos, we do a deep dive into the lyrics and meaning behind the music. So we'll get into The Apparition. There are a couple of different ways this can go. Obviously, there's a lore perspective. If you want to speak to the lore, please feel free to drop that in the comments. But even with this song, there could be a literal dreaming. There could be a daydreaming. Or there could be, and maybe this is kind of daydreaming, this idealization of maybe like something that he wants in somebody. Let's get in. We'll do the best that we can. Remember, we don't always get it right, but we always learn something. Here is The Apparition. Okay, intro. Why are you never real? See, this is why I don't think it's... Now, I guess it could be a memory, you know, the idea that's like, let's just say you experienced love with somebody that has ended. And we know even in some past songs and things like that, there was this idea of trying to get over this love that was lost, even though it wasn't beneficial. But let's say, you know, the love is lost and you have this memory, whether actually in sleep or in daydreaming, that reminds you, and you're like, but why are you never real? You know, like, I want you to be real again. I want this to be the way that it was type thing. Why are you never real? Whenever you appear, you leave me with that grace. I'm trembling with fear, but I know that you will disappear just as I awake, whisper in my ear. So this sense of being visited by this apparition. Well, I believe somewhere in the past, something was between you and I, my dear, and it remains with me to this day. No matter what I do, this scar will never fade. This is why at first it sounds like this hypothetical. Well, I believe like somewhere in the past, there's a love song. I can't remember the name of it, but the whole thing is this idea of like we knew each other in past lives. It even goes back to like ancient Egypt and then through like Civil War times and things like that. And it's this idea that we have always been, you know, it's just trying to immortalize this love in a sense. And so I don't get the feeling that he's like, I just knew you in some past life because I know you so well. I know I've always loved you, because he does mention scars. And so maybe it is in this dream type state of thinking about like, I believe somewhere in the past, something was between you and I, like we really had something, but whatever we had, like it still remains with me to this day. No matter what I do, this scar will never fade. So I really feel like the heart of this is this person that he has loved, that he has lost, that has also caused him damage, but he still desires. And she is this apparition, this thing haunting him that he wants to forget about. But again, whether in daydreaming or in actual dreaming, continues to be reminded of. She visits him with his grace and it leaves him trembling. It's interesting, the trembling with fear, because it could be this like fear of being hurt again. But there's also a scripture that tells us in the New Testament, it says to walk out your salvation with fear and trembling. It is not this sense that we're meant to live our lives every day. If you've been following the channel for any length of time, I'm a Christian, passionate follower of Jesus. And so in that, it's not about earning your salvation. It's like, okay, you've been saved, and now like just like walk it out. Let the fruit of what's happened in you be evident. And so even in that, work out your salvation with fear and trembling. It is not that I'm supposed to walk out through my everyday like, you know, the same way that I've never want my children to act that way. It's this fear and trembling is this reverence, this seriousness about it. Now, if God were to appear himself, much like if God were to appear himself, there would be this fear and trembling. Even in the book of Revelation, when John, the disciple, is visited by a resurrected and glorified Jesus, his, feet like bronze, eyes like fire, like he just falls down, and that's his only recourse when confronted by a being like that, is like, oh my gosh, I'm dead. So obviously there's that, but in the sense of like living this fear and trembling is this reverence, this, you've been impacted in such a way. So I don't know if it's trying to paint this picture of like trembling with fear because I'm literally afraid of you, or if it's this trying to, like, in a sense, because he does use the word grace as well, like in a way deify her. You visited me with this grace, and it causes this trembling and fear within me. So who knows? But obviously, or at least to me, it feels obvious that it's actually recalling events. There are scars that he has that won't fade, and she's this apparition that haunts him. So let's make trouble in the dream world. Hijack heaven with another memory now. I make the most of the turning tide. So I feel like it's this idea of reveling in the memory. Like it doesn't exist. And in a way, it's kind of like if you go back this week, I was scrolling back through my Instagram, like way back, and stumbling on all like the baby videos and when my kids were toddlers and things like that. And you're kind of reveling in this dream world, Now, obviously, those are positive ones, but for him, it's almost like maybe it is whatever positive experiences we had, or whatever it was that we had in this moment of this apparition, this dreaming of you that won't leave me. I'm going to kind of like revel in that. I'm going to dive into that pool and swim around for a little while, hijack heaven with another memory, like pull this other memory up, and make the most of the turning tide, that something is changing. And it may be the turning tide in the sense that like we're not together anymore. It may be the turning tide in the sense that I'm going to be coming out of this dream state. I make the most of the turning tide. It just split what's left of the burning silence. So this silence, this longing, the burning silence to me kind of speaks of this longing. There was one line that said this: breaking into your own dreams to feel something one more time and waking up emptier because of it. So it's almost like he can't help himself but revel in this memory, this fantasy, even though he knows coming out of it, he's just going to be empty. Don't wait, because this could be the last time you turn up in the reveries of my mind. Like I might end up forgetting about you, so I'll revel in the moment that I have. And I wake up to this suicide frenzy. Loaded dreams still leave me empty. I wake up to this sadness, this feeling. Like, have you ever had such a vivid dream that you wake up and it takes you a moment to like come to reality? Usually they're not good ones for me. It's not like I'm dreaming of being a millionaire and I wake up and I'm like, oh no, I don't actually have that money. Usually it's like my wife and I have been in an argument or split ways or something in my dream, and I wake up just like devastated. And then I'm like, oh, okay, you're still here. You didn't leave me. I remember that happened once so vividly. I like woke up crying, and then the realization that, and I don't know, maybe it was more tragic in my dream, but I just woke up like crying. And it took me a moment to realize my wife's there. My kids are down the hall. Okay. Oh my gosh. Everything is okay. And so maybe even in the same sense, obviously from the negative perspective, reveling in this, but waking up in the suicide frenzy, these loaded dreams, he's still leaving him empty. And then we have partially a repeated chorus. Somewhere in the past, something was between you and I, my dear, and it remains with me to this day. No matter what I do, this wound will never heal, which is a little bit different than this scar will never fade. This wound will never heal. And in the bridge, why are you never real? The shifting states you follow me through, unrevealed. Just let me go or take me with you. And I don't know if the shifting states is like different seasons of life, just as I am changing, yet you're still there. And like, let me go of this, let me forget about you, or take me with you, meaning like, let me actually be with you, let me be lost in this forever with you. He's basically like, leave me alone or take me with me, you. Like, I can't keep going back into this place. So let's make trouble in the dream world. So then it's a repeated refrain. Really interesting one. Would love to hear your thoughts on it. So feel free to drop them in the comments. Thanks for being with me for this one. I hope to see you in the next one, because we're eating good.